So now we have Loki episode 2. Getting better? Is it getting worse? I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I do highly recommend it. I think the thing is humming along just fine. It's very entertaining, but some of the complaints people brought up about like the major questions still not being answered unfortunately holds for this episode. They really at least reference it. That's good. They did reference kind of like the free will dilemma. I, for myself, do not think there is a free will dilemma, so I'm against the consensus that, they need to explain the free will dilemma. I don't think they do. But it's nice that they reference it. They don't really go into it too much, but it's like, okay, it's at least interesting that they know this may be a potential issue. And the major complaint for this episode is it was just a lot of walking and talking, and they're sitting down too much and just talking to one another, a la the prequels. But I myself notoriously do like the prequels, and I don't have a major issue with people sitting down and talking. I guess my issue with the prequels was more of a visual thing, and that the visualization looked really weird with CGI, and the sets and the actors didn't work together. That's not the case with Loki. I think it was very naturalistic, and I think for the most part, they're not breaking the fictionality of the world. Although you are asking several questions, so let's get to the nitpicks about. And it does happen. They finally reveal the female Loki. That's going to be in the episode. It's not spoiler, so I can't tell you where, but it does happen. Okay, that was interesting. And this is in the comics. And I wish other YouTube channels would really stress this because people are making this whole thing that, Disney and the feminism and the la 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 la. No, this is in the comics. And I've often complained Kevin Feige does not respect the comics enough. So to be consistent, it's nice that they're pulling in the comic books lore. Female Loki is a thing in the comics. So it's a nice little callback to Marvel Comics. But you still have questions like, why were the TVA people okay with sometimes being spotted? The best I can come up with is, I guess, they don't have the technology to photograph or document the TVA, because it seems in other cases the TVA is very sensitive about being detected. Or is it that this reality is going to get wiped out anyway? It doesn't really matter. It brings up interesting questions like, well, what are the boundaries here? It seems before the TVA just killed everybody who got in the way. And then it's like, no, they have to be really, really obstructing their goals, and then they'll execute people. But for the most part, I was entertained and amused, and I thought the banter between Mobius and Loki got a lot better. I do like their dynamic. It's not great. It's not like, the kind of great humor he has with Hulk or with Thor. And even I am not a big fan of the Thor films, but I think they set those things up pretty well. So it's not up there yet, but I thought it was fine. It's going on beyond functionality. I thought this one little dialogue exchange between Loki is like, well, why are you even helping me with Mobius? I thought was really, really touching. He's like, well, maybe I honestly do feel sorry for you. And that little kind of ice baby. I thought that was really touching. So they do have some good moments between themselves, and I thought those were the highlights. Unfortunately, again, it's a Disney show, it's a Marvel show, it's an MCU show, and I want to thank, I don't remember this person on Twitter, but they reminded me that Kang the Conqueror is going to be the villain for Ant-Man 3. Now, again, with any Marvel thing, they may screw it up or do a subversion. Kang is not the villain, he's a hero, blah, blah, blah. But that explains a lot in terms of the multiverse being at war with itself. That could be Kang. So the TVA does have an explicit enemy in the form of Kang, and this Loki series is really a prequel to Kang and perhaps other people who can travel throughout time, and they want to contain those people. But if that's the case, then this is really just a big marketing campaign for other Marvel movies and other Marvel shows. And apparently the Nexus points, because I forget this because, honestly, WandaVision was very boring to me. That was referenced in WandaVision too. So you're kind of like, okay, I get it. It is a Disney show. They have to promote the other Disney shows, but that got in the way of the story a lot. So that really hobbled the story. But again, if you can ignore that, and that is a big part of it, so, it gets in the way a lot. I thought the episode was fine. It is above average if you just judge it fairly by all television. The sets look great, the costumes look great, special effects were really well done. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of the Marvel humor, but here I thought it was relatively restrained, and it mostly worked. When Loki, or I'll just say the Lokis, used their deception powers, that was really well done. I thought it could have been way more creative, but it's what you pay for, it's what you see. So if you do have the subscription, I think you're getting your money's worth. But again, I think I had really high expectations for the series, which were probably not, I think, warranted. But I'm not disappointed, but I do hope they pick it up because, again, this is a limited series. So I understand they're setting up seeds. They're setting up a lot of things that they're going to pay off. But I wish we got a little bit more. We do get a really great final moment between Loki and female Loki, but it's very small. It's only for honestly, literally for a few seconds if you understand the narrative. But it is what it is. So far, Loki is a good series. Don't believe the hyperbolic is the worst series for destroying the MCU, but I do hope they start picking it up and make it a little bit stronger, give it a little bit more punch. But so far, I'm still not disappointed. But I am kind of like, this thing could be a little bit stronger, at least in my opinion. All right, so this has been a non-spoiler review of Loki, highly recommended, giving it a 7 out of 10.